This is KGW News at 11.
We begin at 11 with another day of long lines at local credit unions as people waiting for unemployment benefits in Oregon rush to get emergency relief checks. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. State officials say more than 33,000 payments totaling $16 million have been sent out in Oregon. But as KGW's Mike Benner reports, some people are struggling to get that money. And in some cases, it's leading to violence.
For the second straight day, lines are long, very long, outside financial institutions across Oregon. People are looking to get their hands on $500 emergency checks, and that includes Cindy Barber of Southwest Portland.
It's everything to me. It's my energy bill. It's my rent. It's my self-esteem.
Barber is at her breaking point. Over the last 24 hours, the 59-year-old with lupus has stood in line outside two on-point community credit unions, getting cut off at both. She's even tried applying for the emergency funds online, but to no avail.
I feel helpless because I can't help myself with the online applications.
Frustration is mounting for a lot of people. KGW has learned of hostile and sometimes violent crowds outside a credit union in Troutdale and another in downtown Portland, where officers took several people into custody.
Fact is, we're trying to keep people safe. It's been difficult to ensure that happens.
Tori McVeigh of On Point Community Credit Union acknowledges the angst and encourages patience.
Be safe. Nobody likes waiting in lines, but we need to be safe while we're waiting in those lines and be patient. We are just working so hard to get this money into our community. There's a need out there, and we're here to deliver on it.
It's rough.
Cindy Barber isn't sure patience is the answer. She calls the state program aimed at helping those experiencing financial hardships because of COVID-19 ill-conceived.
Close it down, figure out something else. This isn't working.
All right, a bit of promising news to report. After our interview with Cindy Barber, somebody from On Point Community Credit Union reached out to her, and they will try to help her navigate the system. At the end of all of this, she is hoping to have one of those $500 emergency relief checks in her hands. In the meantime, we know a lot of you are looking for more information on this topic, and you can find it on our website, kgw.com. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
As for unemployment in Washington, the state announced today it will apply for a federal program to boost benefits. It would give an extra $300 a week to recipients. The state plans to apply no later than tomorrow. Payments will be retroactive back to August 1st. The program is through an executive order from President Trump, signed after the federal $600 a week boost expired in July. Oregon is still deciding whether to apply. It says the boost would only last 5 weeks, cost the state money, and take a while to implement with its current system. Oregon's latest numbers in the pandemic continue to hold steady. The OHA reported another 301 new cases of COVID-19 today, and 4 more Oregonians have died. The 2-week average of new cases has plateaued, but new daily infections have still been hovering between 200 and 400 a day. Multnomah, Washington, and Marion counties all reported more than 50 new infections today. Umatilla County appears to have slowed the spread and has been approved to return to Phase 1 reopening. During the pandemic, we've seen how restaurant and school closures have led food growers to destroy huge amounts of produce because of canceled orders. That nearly happened to 1,000 tons of produce slated for Oregon food banks. As Catherine Cook reports, an effort to save it and the environment changed everything.
Like a series of falling dominoes, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted so many parts of life, even the food we eat, or in this case, don't eat.
We just can't move the volume that we used to move.
Sharon McFadden with the Oregon Food Bank is talking about fruits and vegetables growers would normally donate to them in bulk. We're talking 2,000-pound bags of potatoes and massive bins of onions, apples, and pears. Before COVID-19 crowd restrictions, thousands of Oregon Food Bank volunteers would make quick work of those bulk deliveries, separating and repackaging them into smaller, family-sized portions. But now, with just a dozen volunteers in the warehouse at a time, they can't keep up. Asking growers to do it for free wasn't an option.
You have, the product, the cost to get it out of the ground or to harvest it, but to wash it, sort it, and then of course the packaging as well. Not only just to put it in the box, but the box itself or the bag itself. It's expensive.
That left the Oregon Food Bank and families losing out on an estimated 2 million pounds of produce.
That product very realistically could not have made it to market, and it could have been lost.
Enter the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality.
We saw the same kinds of news that everybody else was seeing about, food at growers and processors that was either being dumped or plowed under or sent to a landfill. And beyond having sort of the human reaction, knowing that so many people were in need, at DEQ, we also saw that food through an environmental lens.
Elaine Blatt with Oregon DEQ says many people don't realize the environmental impact wasted food has. Sure, it's biodegradable, but when food ends up in landfills, it breaks down, creating greenhouse gases. That includes carbon dioxide and, even more concerning, methane. Scientists say methane traps about 28 times more heat than carbon dioxide, contributing to global warming.
And so we asked ourselves, is there a way that we could actually move this food to people who really need it, and then also reduce the environmental impacts of the wasted food?
The answer? A $140,000 grant from the Oregon DEQ to the Oregon Food Bank. The money will pay growers to repack produce into smaller portions and transport it to where the need is.
Frankly, it feels great. We were really happy to be able to do this.
It's a huge benefit to the community and to our growers across the area.
The DEQ estimates somewhere between 25 and 40% of food produced in or imported to the United States goes to waste. For the 2 million pounds at stake here, it won't be because of COVID-19.
It's such a blessing.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
This is our moment. This is our mission. May history be able to say that the end of this chapter of American darkness began here tonight. Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy, they're all on the ballot.
Tonight, Joe Biden formally accepted his party's nomination for president on the final night of the Democratic National Convention. Biden stood alone for his address, while supporters gathered outside to watch from a makeshift drive-in movie theater by the Chase Center in Delaware. Biden promised to fight the spread of the coronavirus, and he vowed to lead an economic recovery. Former rivals from the campaign trail called Biden a uniter.
Sincerely, it was an honor to run against you, and it is even a greater honor to stand with you in support of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
The Republican National Convention is up next, beginning on Monday. Many of the details are still unclear, but President Trump does plan to accept his nomination from the White House a week from today. Protests are continuing in Portland tonight. There's a group gathered near the ICE building in the South Waterfront, where police declared a riot last night. Now, this is a live look. Things are mostly calm for the moment. We'll keep you updated on what happens there. There was also a separate protest by the Portland Police Association building. This is video from earlier in the evening. The crowd gathered after rallying at Kenton Park. They also marched at times on Lombard Street and other parts of North Portland. Today, Portland police also put out a timeline showing the scope of the protests over the past few months. It all started with a riot on May 29th, shortly after the killing of George Floyd. Police have declared riots 16 more times since then, 8 of them this month alone. Most of the initial demonstrations focused on the downtown area around the Justice Center and stayed mostly peaceful. However, protests have reached other parts of Portland since then, as we saw tonight. That includes the Police Association building, the Multnomah building, and ICE offices. There have been broken windows, objects thrown at officers, and fires set. Federal authorities have arrested a man they say hit one of their officers with a baseball bat during a protest back on July 27th. Investigators used still images from live streams to identify their suspect. Federal marshals arrested 24-year-old Dakota Ray Horton this week after recognizing him in the Rock Creek area on Monday. Police are also able to learn things in real time during protests from what's online.
Through what we've seen, what we can hear on live streams, through social media that some of the activists are putting out there, they know exactly what they need to do to get a response from the police.
Portland police are investigating a shooting in the Sumner neighborhood tonight. One person was shot. This happened at about 4 o'clock this afternoon near Northeast 90th and Skidmore. We'll update you when we learn more about what led up to the shooting. Tonight, we're hearing from more concerned local mail workers about the dismantling of 7 sorting machines at the USPS facility in Portland. We first told you about this yesterday. The machines were disconnected following a meeting between management and staff last Friday. Mail carriers we spoke with say they're worried about what this will do to mail deliveries in the coming months.
My concern and the concern of my coworkers is the same as the concern of the public. If there's not as much equipment to process mail, is that going to potentially cause a situation where the processing and distribution of the mail to us as the carriers is delayed simply because there's not enough equipment? And we, like everybody else, we don't know for sure.
The Postmaster General said this week further changes will be delayed until after the election amid concerns of the impact on mail-in voting. Fire crews say they're making good progress on the 7 Mile Hill fire near the Dalles. They were hoping to have it mostly contained by the end of today. It broke out yesterday and burned about 100 acres. It initially prompted some evacuation orders, but those were lowered today. At least 2 people have died helping fight monstrous fires across California. One was a utility worker who was clearing infrastructure to make it safe for emergency responders. The other is a helicopter pilot who was killed in a crash during a water drop mission. 3 civilians have also been killed in the wildfires for a total of 5 deaths in California. Officials say there are 367 active fires across California. More than 60,000 people have been forced out of their homes.